The words are in the hymnal. They're number 360, Here We Have Gathered, in the gray hymnal. And it looks like we're going to have them up here on screen in just a moment. But if we want to rise in body and spirit and begin in song with Here We Have Gathered, let's give just a minute. There we go. Let us sing together. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara. Welcome once again to this gathering of seekers, this gathering in loving community, this gathering of people who strive to nurture wonder, inspire the actions that transform us and transform the world, and live with more integrity in this complicated nation that we live in today. I'm the Reverend Julia Hamilton, and I am delighted to be here with you this morning. My pronouns are she, her, and I have with us a whole host of folks. Our choir is singing with Matthew Grissett, our music director, Heather Levin on the piano, Gary Welterlin is our worship associate. And this morning is unfortunately a bittersweet morning because it is also the last morning that Angie Swanson-Kiriakou, our membership and outreach coordinator, will be with us. Angie, you're right here, Angie. Angie is moving on to follow a passion of hers for many years to work for reproductive justice in our community and in the world, work that is necessary and needed, and her values and the values of this community will go with her in support and love as she moves to this next chapter of her life. Please give your congratulations and appreciations to Angie during coffee hour. We have a lot coming up this fall, and if you are new and visiting with us and want to stay connected, we would love to get connected to you. Please stop by our welcome table or click the visitor link if you're joining us online so that we can keep in touch and invite you into full participation in this community. And if you have been attending for a while and feel like this might be your home, your people as you journey through life, we would love to welcome you into membership on any Sunday. You can stop by the membership table to find out more. What's coming up in the joyful life of this community is on October 18th, we are going to have a big, beautiful, bright, and shiny celebration. So I hope you're getting your sparkly outfits ready for our Joyful Jubilee, a celebration of our capital campaign, and all things of the vision and mission of this congregation that we are bringing to bright life together. So please mark your calendars for October 18th and join us there. As the season turns, we also are beginning our sign-ups for the warming centers. The warming center season starts on November 15th, and we will have hospitality teams who will cook a warm meal and welcome our guests when the weather is cold and rainy. And now is the time to sign up to join one of those hospitality teams for this season. Linda Beers is our volunteer coordinator. You want to stand up, Linda? She's got a clipboard, folks. She means business. You can sign up with Linda in the garden, or you can also look for the link in your Friday email to sign up for one of those teams as once again we move into this way of caring and connecting with our neighbors without homes. I invite you now to take a moment, take a breath wherever you find yourself this morning. Allow yourself to be fully present here in this community as we ring our bell and let the sound connect us.
Good morning. Our chalice lighting is from Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who you will become familiar with today. In the new era of your life, bring love for hate and peace for strife. Well, yesterday was a busy day in Sacramento. Governor Newsom signed a package of bills aimed at protecting immigrants in schools, hospitals, and other areas targeted by federal agents. These bills will require school administrators to notify families and students if federal agents conduct immigrant operations on K-12 or college campuses. They will bar immigrant agents from non-public areas of a school without a judicial or court warrant. Will also prohibit healthcare officials from disclosing a patient's immigrant status or birthplace or give access to non-public spaces in hospitals and clinics. And last but not least, prevents law enforcement officers, including federal immigration agents, from wearing masks or other facial coverings that obscure their identity while on duty. Thanks to our representatives for having the courage to pass these bills. And thank you, Governor Newsom, for signing them. This is indeed good news.
Let us join in singing together one more time. It's number 1017, We Are Building a New Way. This is in the teal hymnal if you want to see the music, but this is one of those ones I think you'll pick up fairly quickly. And feel free to move a little bit if the Spirit moves you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charla Bragante. I am the Director of Religious Exploration around here, and it is a very special morning for us. It is the kickoff to Children's RE this morning, and we like to begin that with a backpack blessing. But before we do that, before we begin our annual backpack blessing, I want to invite some very special people forward. Janice Connolly, Marilee Krause, Alex Overby, Joey Samora, and Brent Wells. Will you join Julia and me up here on the chancel?
Come on all the way up, folks.
These terrific humans are volunteering their time and energy to build relationships with the children in our congregation. As RE teachers, they show kids how much they are valued here. They are the embodiment of the phrase, the congregation is the curriculum.
Yes. So from time to time, when people volunteer for specific roles that serve the congregation in meaningful ways, we do a commissioning of them for this work. And basically, this is just an opportunity for the congregation to give its blessing to them so that they feel supported and encouraged in their service. So I'd like to start by asking our volunteers a question, and you can answer, "We will," at the end of it, hopefully. As teachers for our children and youth, will you represent our commitment to nurture wonder through lifelong learning and work to provide a loving, respectful, and joyful environment for the next generation of Unitarian Universalists to flourish and grow? We will. And now, congregation, it's your turn. I'm going to ask you a question, and you can read the response that is in the order of service, or hopefully up on the screen here. There we go. Do you, people of the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara, commission and empower these volunteer teachers to embody our commitment to lifelong learning and to provide a respectful, loving, and joyful environment for the next generation of Unitarian Universalists to flourish and grow?
We commission you to take up this work as teachers among us.
May the love of this community be with you in all of your work and all of your service. Thank you.
Woo!
You may be seated.
You'll get it. So many of us carry bags with us throughout the week for lots of reasons. Lift up your bag or your hand if you hear me describe your bag's purpose. Some of us carry books and homework to and from school.
Anybody do that with their bag?
There a lot of people do that. Some of us carry our lunches to school or work or to places we volunteer. Some of us carry computers and other supplies to the places we learn or work. Some kids carry overnight bags to a family member's or a friend's house. Some people carry books or knitting to places where they may need to wait patiently. I know we have some knitters here. Some people carry suitcases or duffel bags to travel for work or vacation. And some people even have special bags to carry their pets.
Are your bags already feeling a little too full these days? Well, we want to give you something that paradoxically might help lighten the load just a little bit. Wouldn't it be great to carry the love of this community with you all week to help carry your loads with you?
Yeah. So we've got a little symbol of that love for you to clip onto your bag to remind you that you carry the love of this community with you wherever you go. And there are two choices here. You can have the values flower or a chalice. So at this time, I'd like to invite any kids or youth to bring their bags and backpacks forward. And if you forgot to bring your backpack, that's okay. Just bring yourself up. Kids and youth, come on up. And choose one of our charms
After you choose a charm, if you want to just hang out up here
Yeah.
with Charlotte and I, that would be great. You can choose your charm and then just either sit on the pew or sit back down here
Yes.
on the floor or the steps with me if you want to sit on the
So
steps.
kids, yeah, stay either right up here or in that first pew or wherever,
Yeah.
just for a bit. Thank you.
You can come sit up here with me on the steps.
Great.
Hi, Georgia. You want to come sit with
Some
me?
of the backpacks are bigger than some of the kids, I think.
Nice.
And once the kids are done, I'd like to invite any teachers, professors, educators, and children's and adult RE facilitators to come forward for some love as you go about the important work of educating learners of all ages. So teachers, let us give you some love. Yes, you may take one.
We know we have lots of teachers in this congregation of all kinds and all ages, from the very littlest of us to the very most adult of us.
You can go back.
Come and take one of these symbols to carry with you in your classrooms, your classroom of life. That's right.
We love our teachers. And all the rest of you, we know you are all lifelong learners here at the Unitarian Society. That's just something we do. And we would love for you to have a little love for your bag. And these charms will be on the RE table right after the service. Chris Shorb's going to carry them out there. So during coffee hour, we invite you to come and get a charm to carry the love of this congregation with you.
Now, if you want to stay up here, you're more than welcome to, or you can return to your seat. But kids, stay up here for a minute because I want to tell you a little bit of something about this bag that I'm going to be clipping my charm to today. Because next weekend, I am going to be bringing this bag with me on a very special trip. And I want to bring all of the love and prayers and intentions of this congregation with me when I go on this trip. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be carrying this bag. Me and a bunch of other ministers are going to be going on long walks on a trail, a pilgrimage trail in Japan. Yeah. So next week I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to bring this with me. It has a water pack in it. I'm going to have my lunches, and I'm going to have little slips of paper that you are all going to write some intentions and hopes so that I can bring them with me when I go on this pilgrimage trail to visit temples and shrines along a sacred pilgrimage route in Japan where people have been walking along these trails for over 1,000 years. And all of you are going to get the chance to add your intentions and hopes to this bag as well, because on the RE table out in the courtyard, there are little slips of paper. You can pick up one of these tokens to put on your bag, and you can write down an intention or a prayer or a hope for me to tuck into my bag to carry with me, and I'm sure I will have lots more stories to share when I get back. And if you're joining us at home and you want to put something into the chat, I'll write it out and add it to the mix, or you can send me an email or send Charlotte an email to get one of these sent to you and to add your hopes and prayers. I am very much looking forward to this chance to do some spiritual reflection in this and carry you all with me in this work. So thank you. So now, you want to go ahead and put your hands on your bags. We are going to give you and your bags a blessing for this new school year, this turning of a season, so that even when you're not here, you can carry our values with you and know that you are held by this loving community of people who are here to support you on your journey. May you feel curiosity all of your days.
May your imagination catch fire.
May you find courage when things are difficult.
May your mistakes lead onward to discovery.
May you speak up when you notice injustice.
May you act with compassion for the earth and for all those around you.
May you feel heard and seen and respected.
May you hear and see and respect others.
And may you know, all of you, that you are loved just as you are. And may we all continue to learn and grow together throughout this year. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
Thank you. And now if the kids and teachers can come with me for our RE Kickoff Children's Worship.
The seasons are turning once again. The earth never stops becoming. And as we turn into this fall, we also turn toward the high holy days in the Jewish tradition. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, starts tomorrow night, and the holy days continue for 10 days until Yom Kippur, 10 days later. It is a time for both celebration and repentance, for renewal and repair. And so in the spirit of this turning of these days, I begin our time of meditation and prayer with this poem, Holding the Light, by Stuart Kestenbaum. So if you want to settle yourself wherever you are, perhaps close your eyes or soften your gaze, allow your hands to sit easily in your lap, feel the pew or the chair or the floor under your feet, holding the light. Gather up whatever is glittering in the gutter, whatever has tumbled in the waves or fallen in flames out of the sky. For it's not only our hearts that are broken, but the heart of the world as well. Stitch it back together. Make a place where the day speaks to the night, where the earth speaks to the sky. Whether we created God or God created us, it all comes down to this. In our imperfect world, we are meant to repair and stitch together what beauty there is. Stitch it with compassion and wire. See how everything we have made gathers the light inside itself and overflows. A blessing. See how everything we have made gathers the light inside itself and overflows. A blessing. Let us enter into a time of quiet reflection together. The reflective song we are about to sing, right from wherever you are, is maybe new to most of us. So Heather is going to play it all the way through the tune, all the way through once, so we can hear it through before we sing it. It's a tune I think you'll be able to pick up very quickly. But let us listen together to number 315, This Old World, and then join together in song.
This old world is full of
A little history refresher. For 65,000 years, humans documented their lives through stories and myths. We shared stories of how we got here, who we are, and emphasized what we felt was important to us. Cave paintings, grave goods, sculptures, linguistics, temples, and writings all told the stories to the generations that followed. But these physical items were made, built, and reserved for the shamans, the royals, and the priesthood to collect as an offering to the gods, and then worshiped by the regular folks like us. We, the regular folks, on the other hand, shared stories about our ancestors, who they were, how they got here, and emphasized what lessons we felt were important to us. As history proves time and time again, the few artifacts left behind shaped our views and values for thousands of years, while the lives of everyday people like me were forgotten. And then thousands of years passed. In the 15th century, Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. In 1839, Louis Daguerre invented the process that produced a unique one-off image of a polished silver-plated copper sheet, and the process was popular was portraiture. It became photography. In 1877, Thomas Edison invented the phonograph, a device capable of both recording and playing back sound, beginning with a tinfoil cylinder and a stylus that etched grooves onto the surface. The device gained fame by replaying Edison's voice reciting, "Mary Had a Little Lamb." In the beginning, once again, they were available to only those that had the means and power to afford them. But as technology became democratized soon after the turn of the century, so did the explosion of information. Books, photos, home movies, recorders, and finally the internet and mobile devices. Everything changed. Today, we capture billions of digital images and audio recordings daily. Google has estimated that there are 134 million unique book titles, a number that grows by over 2 million each year due to new publications. Recent estimates suggest that 5.3 billion photos are taken each day globally, which translates to approximately 1.9 trillion photos annually, and it's rising. For reference, it's estimated that more pictures were taken every 2 minutes than were taken through the entire 1800s, and that 10% of all photos ever taken were taken in the last 12 months. This enormous volume is primarily driven, obviously, by cell phone usage, where over 90% of the photos are taken on smartphones, and including images shared on social media, which is the world's main method for disseminating news, pictures, and now the news. So I'm sure you're wondering, why is this important to my introduction to Frances Ellen Watkins Harper? I must admit, I did not know anything about Frances Harper before she was selected to be on our sanctuary window. Her writings were known, well known, I might add, in the world of intellectuals and the students of literature, equal rights, and the women's suffrage of the 19th century. Yet despite all her remarkable accomplishments, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper's name cannot be found in most history books. As a woman of color in a white male-dominated society, she was culturally marginalized, even at times within her own community and social movement. She wasn't photographed until 1893, when she was 68 years old. Her voice was never recorded. Only through her courage, will, and the eloquence of her writings is she belatedly remembered, surviving the test of time, and honored today. Frances Harper utilized the available media of that time, novels, poetry, and public speaking, which had a limited range. But when given the opportunity to be heard, she changed hearts and minds and reinforced the struggle. She was a powerhouse. Now imagine if Frances Harper was alive today with the internet, digital media, and social networking available to her. She would be internationally known as a leading progressive influencer. Her presence would be ubiquitous. She would be everywhere. X, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. There would be the weekly Harper Hour, a podcast. She would have a YouTube channel. And to attract the younger crowd, TikTok, Instagrammed under the # Iola _Leroy or @buryme in the free land. Her accounts would have millions of followers. She would be a regular on the NewsHour and would be a foil on Fox News. Wow. Is this the camera? And 1 second here. I am going to take your picture. Here we go. I got it. I have 15,130 pictures on my phone. Oh no, now it's 15,131. When I Google my name, I find over 20 pages of reference and counting. Pictures, writing, video recordings, and advertisement. History is in the making, whether I like it or not. But I wonder, with all this data is summarized, what will this be the story I will leave? What will be remembered? I won't write the story, but I certainly will add content. Pictures, reflections, Facebook posts. Okay, I still need to get my arms around TikTok and Instagram, I must admit. And those who know what else will come along. So my plan is to keep documenting, taking pictures and videos, writing in an app called Storyworth, posting on Facebook, even if it is passé, and if you'll have me, writing an occasional reflection. My great-grandfather, Daybald Welterlin, was born in 1856 and died in 1935. My great-grandmother, Mary Block, was born in 1867 and died in 1938. I have a dozen or so pictures of them in their late 70s. I don't know what they looked like as young people starting in America, and I have no idea what they sounded like speaking English as a second language. But through my grandfather, I have stories of working-class life in a mill town in Massachusetts. I have my family myths and legends. We now have the tools to record and keep these lessons. We just need to use them. 100 years from now, when my grandkids, Kit and Ella, ask their parents about great-grandpa Gary, I imagine they will bring up a hologram of Debbie and I, and we can talk to them and tell them our story of what it was like at the turn of the 21st century, how we lived our lives, who we loved, and what we cared about. And maybe that's why it's worth passing and keeping our stories alive. That's why I think documenting our lives is worth the effort. We are fortunate to have been preceded by women like Frances Harper, and soon we'll be able to tell her story. We also have our stories to tell. They are important, and I hope future generations will want to know about us. So snap some selfies, shoot some videos. Who knows? And then again, 100 years ago, movies were silent and only in theaters. Thank you. Our offering this week, as has been the case for the last 3 weeks, is for the League of Women Voters in Santa Barbara. The League of Women Voters is our outreach offering recipient for September. The League is a nonpartisan, grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. Join with me in the gratitude and giving in your order of worship. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those that share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Sons and daughters to explain our lives, as if a child could tell us
Sure as the sunrise, sure as the sea, sure as the wind in the trees, we rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again in the waves out on the ocean. And then we rise again. When the light goes dark, when the forces of creation across the stormy sky, we look to reincarnation to explain our lives. As if our child sure as the sunrise, sure as the sea, sure as the wind in the trees, we rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again in the waves out on the ocean. And then we rise again. Rise again, rise in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again out on the ocean. And then we rise again. We rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again out on the ocean. And then we rise again. And then we rise again.
Thank you, choir, for lifting us up with music today. Thank you to all of you, and good morning to all of you. So several years ago, if you can cast your mind back to those long ago days, several years ago, it seemed that this nation was on its way to a new and more nuanced understanding about the way we remember, reconstruct, and talk about our shared history, it seemed like we were moving toward this more complete picture of where we've been so that we might go where we hope to be, into a more beloved, interconnected, interdependent community. Monuments to the Confederacy were being removed. Names of schools and institutions were being reconsidered. Voices and stories that had been overlooked or suppressed were finally coming to light. Interpretive exhibits at museums, landmarks, and national parks were seeking to give a fuller and more complete story of the history of this nation, the sometimes messy, often painful, and very human history of our nation. A history that does include stories of heroism and courage, grand accomplishments of invention and ingenuity, victorious fights for democracy and freedom, but also includes a legacy of enslavement, genocide, and oppression that we have never fully reckoned with. And although we still have a long way to go, it seemed for a while that progress was being made. And this congregation took part and wrestled with its own history of naming and decided to add Frances Ellen Watkins Harper to the other illustrious Unitarian forebears honored on the windows in this sanctuary. And in just a moment, I'll share a little bit more about Harper and her legacy in honor of her 200th birthday, which is coming up this week. But when this congregation voted to recognize her a couple years ago, it felt like we were part of this movement. And we had no idea that all of this progress that had been made, all of the work to establish this more complete and nuanced understanding of American history, that it all could be erased so quickly. We had no idea how every mention of the more painful aspects of our shared past would be called into question, and how nearly all the contributions of women and people of color would begin to be systematically scrubbed from public view, because that is what is happening. Anything that could make anyone, or let's be honest, anything that could make white folks feel embarrassed, ashamed, or uncomfortable about our nation's history is being targeted for removal, no matter how true the stories they tell might be. For example, the sign at Harper's Ferry, where John Brown famously attempted to inspire an uprising against enslavement. Monuments and signage there may not be able to mention racial discrimination that contributed to the uprising and continued to take place afterward. The exhibits at George Washington's house may not be allowed to talk about the enslaved people he owned there on that site. The Smithsonian has been given until December to adjust any exhibits that do not reflect positively on U.S. history, whatever that means. When you all named this window, we did not know how critically important it would be to be a place where we still tell these stories. The stories of trauma as well as triumph that remind us of the reality of the past as well as the ongoing work of healing today. It turns out there are some truths that some folks would just rather not know. Which brings us to the important legacy of Frances Harper, and one of the questions she asks of us today in this current moment: how do we listen for what is true, even if it is hard to hear? And once we become aware of those hard truths, what are our obligations to one another? She spoke about that constantly. What are our obligations to one another? Frances Ellen Watkins Harper was dedicated to telling the truth. She was a Black woman living in the United States in the mid to late 1800s, and she refused to make herself and the truth of experience that she represented, she refused to make her truth smaller or more convenient for anyone. She took up space in the world, And it is fitting that we honor that by making space for her here among the other Unitarian forebears that grace our windows, some of whom were her contemporaries. And it occurred to me that your great-grandparents, Gary, living in Massachusetts, where she often went and spoke, they might have heard her speak. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper spoke the truth as she saw it, but with the heart of a storyteller and a poet. She told her audiences the stories of what it meant to be an enslaved person. Although she herself had been born free in Maryland, after the Civil War, she moved to the South to record and share the stories of the people there. She was, as Gary so accurately observed, an influencer, a voice amplifying the lives and loves and histories of her people so they would not be lost, so they could no longer be dismissed as less than human. She told stories of what it meant to be a woman, how she and her children lost everything after the death of her husband, how the appraiser came and took everything from her house, except the looking glass, the only thing a woman could need, of course, leaving her without even a bed to sleep on because she had no means of support and no rights of her own. She told stories about why the right to vote is so important. Wonderful that we're honoring the League of Women Voters today, as she was so active in working for that right to vote for everyone, how necessary it was for everyone to have a voice. And she was a champion of the expansion of the role of government to include human rights and equal protection under the law. She was intersectional before intersectional was a word. She articulated how her life as a Black woman mattered in a world that tried over and over again to restrict her power and silence her voice. But she would make herself neither small nor keep quiet. She was a storyteller in her speeches, but she was also a widely read poet and novelist. Her most famous book of poetry went through over 20 reprintings. She was deeply interested in what was true inside the human heart, not just in the public square. And although her poems did often tell stories about enslavement and freedom and women's rights, she also wrote about dandelions and lost love, and a poem inspired by the famous last words of the German poet Goethe, light, more light. She was influential and powerful, and could tell a story that moved people's hearts and minds, and she was not afraid of a fight. For example, in 1858, almost 100 years before Rosa Parks took her seat at the front of the bus, Harper boarded a trolley car in Philadelphia, and because it was a segregated car, the conductor stopped and asked her to leave, and she refused. Another passenger, trying to get things moving, asked if Harper could just be permitted to sit in a corner. She said no, and she stayed put. Exasperated, the conductor continued the route, but when Frances Harper arrived at her stop, he refused to accept her fare, so she threw her money at his feet and left. And she would tell this story to crowds of thousands who gathered to hear her speak. Her story and the story of Moses herself. Moses, the name that was given to Harriet Tubman, who'd acted as a scout for the Union Army and was nationally recognized for her heroic service in the Underground Railroad. Even after all of that fame and recognition, Moses herself had not been allowed to ride in peace in a train in New York City. And she was physically injured when they removed her from her car to the smoking car, not the main compartment. This is one of her is part of one of her most famous speeches given in 1866 at the 11th National Women's Rights Convention in New York City, where she shared the platform with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. She said, "We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity, and society cannot trample on the weakest and feeblest of its members without receiving the curse on its own soul." 1866. We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity. This articulation of our interdependence rings down through the years by one of our Unitarian forebears who is just now receiving more of the recognition she is due, because she did become a Unitarian in Philadelphia after getting involved in the work of the Underground Railroad and finding her kindred spirits in the abolitionists that filled the pews of that church. She never gave up her membership in the AME African Methodist Episcopal Church either, where she was raised. Her uncle, who raised her after her parents died when she was a young child, he was a pastor there and a civil rights leader in his own right. But being a Unitarian was not only theologically aligned with her spirit, but was also very pragmatic. In those days, it was one of the only integrated spaces in society. And there she found she could collaborate and network with other well-known activists of her time. There she found space, theologically, morally, and socially, space that was big enough for her to thrive and tell her stories. She lived until the age of 85, and her memorial service was held at the First Unitarian Church in Philadelphia that she called home. In this moment in time, when this nation is trying to dismantle the truth of our past by stripping it from public view, it is more important than ever that places like the Unitarian Society are proactive in constructing the legacy that we want to leave, in lifting up the stories that need to be told so they cannot be erased. They cannot be entirely dependent on the whims of any given administration. If we do not do this work, who will? And I'm glad to say that we are not alone. I just learned that King's Chapel in Boston, one of the oldest Unitarian congregation in the United States, dating back to 1686, has just unveiled a memorial sculpture, and this is Francis here, there, a memorial sculpture dedicated to the names and stories of the 219 people who are known to be enslaved by King's Chapel members and ministers over the centuries. This sculpture was dedicated along with a living memorial fund that supports community partners doing restorative justice work. It's a woman personifying freedom, sitting with an open bird cage with bronze birds perched around her, representing free will, rebirth, and empowerment. And the artist has plans for a next part of this installation, a mural on the ceiling of the sanctuary, and I have a picture of the design intended for that. This mural on the ceiling, with human figures and birds representing the 219 people named in the memorial. If we don't do this work, who will? This is how we live into Frances Ellen Watkin Harper's legacy, speaking truth to power through art, poetry, presence, and the intentional inclusion of stories that might sometimes make some people, including us, uncomfortable or angry or ashamed. But we know that telling stories that are true about who we are and who we have been makes it more possible for us to become who we want to be. We can, if we do this work, model for the rest of society that we do have the capacity to do this. We can do this. We can do this with spiritual maturity and intellectual honesty, and we are capable of holding many complicated truths in one heart, one community, and one nation. These windows, which are nearly 100 years old, are scheduled to be repaired and cleaned this spring. And at the end of the repair process, Frances Harper's name will be up here, right here on this window, so that generations to come will be inspired to learn about her work and legacy. And perhaps in learning about her, they will learn, like I have, that we can tell these stories, all of them. We can handle it, and we are better for it. It does not diminish us to know the truth of our past. What makes us small and weak is when we refuse to listen and learn, letting our minds stay stunted in their growth. But when we let the truth take up space among us, we become larger in spirit and stronger in our humanity. I would like to close with a few stanzas of Harper's poem, Let the Light Enter. Light, more light. The shadows deepen and my life is ebbing low. Throw the windows widely open. Light, more light before I go. Light, more light, for death is weaving shadows round my waning sight, and I fain would gaze upon him through a stream of earthly light. Not for greater gifts of genius, not for thoughts more grandly bright. All the dying poet whispers is a prayer for light, more light. All the dying poet whispers is a prayer for light, more light. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Let us lift up our light in song with the fire of commitment. It is in the teal hymnal. It is number 128 if you want to see the music, or you can follow along with the words on the screen. So stay right where you are, and if you want to put your hands over your heart, or if you have permission to hold hands with someone next to you, however it is that you get connected. And as you go out into this beautiful and heartbreaking world, may the light of love shine upon you out from within you, be gracious unto you, and bring you peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And let us call out a blessing. One of those services where all the pieces just kind of seem to coalesce.
Great job, y'all.
Yay.
Excellent job.
You guys were terrific. You were the bass that made
Oh,
me
yeah.
love. Not the bass, not the bass, bass, but the bass.
I know what you're saying. Thank you.